Hello, this is the RPG Pundit, the final boss in Internet Shitlords. And welcome to the RPG Pundit's Cooking and Making Fun of SJWs Hour. Not really. I mean, actually this is the worst time possible for me to be making a video. As you can see, I'm still working on lunch here. What I'm preparing is an Asian-style soup. This is the broth that has been bubbling up for a while now, and I'm ready to bring it down towards a simmer. The broth here contains some Chinese cabbage and chicken stock and some beans and some miso paste. That's right, soy paste. Which brings us to our other topic, but give me a second. And besides that, in like an hour, I've got my, well, a little more than an hour, I've got my DCC game coming up. So, the thing is, though, that this story that has come out about Sworddream, do you know what Sworddream is? If you don't, you're gonna find out, and it's gonna be hilarious. Anyways, this news about Sworddream has made me think like I just had to do this video, you know. There's no option, you know. So my plan is to be the man who prepares soup, does this video, and then kills the cat boy. Let's see if it works out. So the thing about Sworddream, and I'm just going to be preparing the rest of my stuff here as I go along. If you like, I'll tell you what else is going in there. First of all, some garlic. I just mentioned that I use soy paste in my soup stock, and I've always thought that, you know, to criticize some of the people on my side of the aisle, right? It's really very silly, some of this stuff that they say about, you know, soy boys and what have you. And yet, why is it that it's always that type of person, right? Like there's a type, a look. They're almost like clones, right? Like the guy who's gonna say, oh, you know, we need to purge gaming of white male influence, right? Is gonna be the same as the guy who says Captain Marvel was the greatest movie of the 21st century because it shows a powerful, strong woman that doesn't need to grow or change, you know? And that they're both gonna be the same as the guy who bravely throws a milkshake at Nigel Farage, you know, and all of those are going to be the same as the guy who, I don't know, cries at the Women's March against Donald Trump, right? Like, they're always these figures that are like demi-males, right? Like, they're not entirely... like, you know, they're masculine, but not entirely masculine. They look like eunuchs, basically, right? They have inappropriate facial hair, you know, and they always, you know, when they smile, they do that cuck-mouth smile, right? Like, it never fails. So, like, how the hell does that happen? But in this case, we've got yet another one of these people who, in part of the process of the condemnation of the excellent OSR, has now made a declaration that we should all leave the OSR, and the right people, of course, not me, right? They wouldn't want me there, but the people that are, you know, good and proper gamers that are more concerned with social justice than stupid things like gaming, ginger, very high quality ginger in this country, that those people should go and start a new movement, a new do-it-yourself movement that'll be just like the OSR, except it won't have most people who like the OSR. It won't be about Dungeons and Dragons. It'll be mainly about social justice, and it'll be called Sworddream. Oh, excuse me, I'm not totally over my cold. I mean, I'm 99% done. But today I've just been laughing and coughing. It's just unbelievable, these people. Anyhow... I mean, seriously, go on Twitter, look up the guy who did this, right? And it'll look exactly how you imagine, right? Just exactly. And now I'm not saying I'm an Adonis or I'm just an average looking guy, right? And I know that there's a bit of a, it's a bit silly to be picking on them, but it's just amazing that they always look like that. Like the moment I saw him, I said, yeah, okay, that makes perfect sense, you know, because I heard about it first, and then I saw who actually said it, and Jesus fuck. All right, so maybe some of you listening to this need a bit of information to understand what I'm talking about. First of all, do you know what the OSR is? If you don't, what you should do here is pause this video, look at my channel list of videos, way down near the bottom. One of the earlier ones is called something like "The OSR is cutting edge and will change the way you think about D&D." Okay, that video will explain everything you need to know about the OSR. The OSR stands for Old School Renaissance, or Old School Revival, or Old School Revolution, and it's a design system. Dark Albion, and most of my games, except Lord of Olympus, Dark Albion and Lion and Dragon, those are OSR games. So they're based on old school D&D rules, right? Dungeon Crawl Classics is also an OSR game, right? These are games that are based on old school rules of D&D as a starting point, as a framework, but then make them into totally different things through incredible radical innovation. And this combination of being based on having as like the boundaries, the landmarks of the design, what you're allowed to do and not, right? Like what you must stay within the frame of, that means that you are obliged to innovate in different ways than if you're just told do whatever you like, right? So doing whatever you like, you usually end up making garbage, right? Stuff like story games and The Forge is proof of that. Like you make these pretentious and very unplayable games. And the success of the OSR and the influence that the OSR has had on gaming, so much so that, I was hired as a consultant for 5th edition, in part as an OSR consultant, right? As a guy who's going to make 5th edition more like the OSR and bring in the OSR ideas. And 5th edition is in some ways related to the OSR. I wouldn't exactly call it an OSR game, but it's a game that was inspired philosophically by the OSR. Onion. So, the OSR is this design movement. Now, what's the problem? The OSR is totally decentralized. There's no leadership. It's all small press companies, right? There's some medium press companies. Goodman Games that does Dungeon Crawl Classics. It's a pretty large company, actually. But, nobody runs the whole show. There isn't a single thing like Wizards of the Coast with D&D. Like, let's put it this way. If you take over Wizards of the Coast, you control all of the mainstream of D&D, right? And that's exactly what the SJWs have done with entryism. They go in there, they take over the key positions in Wizards of the Coast, they pressure the people in charge at Wizards of the Coast, and they get to do exactly what they want, right? And to stop what they don't want. But with the OSR, you can't do that, because it's just a whole bunch of different small companies, small designers, right? And everybody is just focused on making the games. There's no real interest in like talking about social justice themes in the OSR, right? We just want to make excellent games, right? And every kind of game is welcome, except that really very overtly political games have not done well at all in the OSR, right? Like there's the games that people want are games that aren't, like there's historical games, there's fantasy games, there's weird fantasy games. There's D&D in space, there's D&D hard sci-fi, D&D soft sci-fi, there's D&D in World War II, there's like spy D&D, there's everything you can imagine being made, but, they don't have these politicized themes, right? My games aren't political, there's nothing especially political about Dark Albion, aside that, in the sense that the Middle Ages are problematic, right? And so this is a really big problem for the SJWs. The biggest design movement in gaming is not under their control and can't be under their control because they just can't do it, right? They tried to infiltrate it. They went in there with their skateboards and said, hello, my fellow old school gamers, right? I like old school games like Vampire and the Shabal Hiri Roach. Like, we all looked at them and were like, what the fuck are you talking about? You spent the last 20 years crapping all over D&D. Right, you literally insulted everything about it, and now you're coming in here trying to take over, please. So these guys, you know, they're very, very frustrated at the OSR. And of course, I'm in the OSR, right? And, you know, Venture Satanis is sort of in the OSR. And, you know, a bunch of people that they don't like, you know, the Frog God Games, right? If you saw my video about the unboxing of Into the Labyrinth, oops, careful, kitty. Red pepper. My unboxing video about Into the Labyrinth, you will have seen that, you know, the owner of Frog God Games is one of the people that they have targeted. They've targeted all kinds of people. Anyone who doesn't, you know, kowtow to them entirely, right? The slightest bit of resistance. But they just can't make the leeway here. So they've gotten to the point where now what they've been calling for some time is that the OSR is hopelessly toxic and has to be ended. It has to be destroyed, right? That's the way forward. I don't know if I should point this up towards my cat or down towards what I'm preparing, but I'm just going to leave it be. So they're suggesting that the OSR should be completely wiped out, basically. And nobody listened to them. So they realized that it just wasn't going to happen, right? They were trying to boycott the OSR cons, like Gary Con. That didn't work. They did a bunch of articles about how the OSR is hopelessly toxic, and, you know, it's got, oh my god, alt-right N-word, right? Not that N-word, the other N-word you're not allowed to say on YouTube anymore. You know which one. And that they were gonna this whole movement was something that had to be ruined, but, you know, the only people who cared was them. Nobody in the OSR cares. We're just making incredible games. So then they've decided on a different tact, which is to say, okay, we all can agree, right, that there are some really bad people in the OSR, like the RPG Pundit and other people, right? I'm not going to name other names here just to not insult people by, you know, lumping them in with me. But they've, of course, named a lot of names, all kinds of people that they don't like in the OSR. And so what we need to do is separate these people, right? So now what they're trying to suggest is that, like, for the purity of the OSR, you know, it's sort of like how atheism had Atheism Plus. Well, they tried to do, like, the honorable OSR. And I talked about that a few months ago. Like, they made a separate group, and they said that they were going to, you know, that this was going to be, you'd have to be approved to join that discussion group, and that this was where it was all going to happen. And, of course, nothing came of it. Nothing at all, right? Because, again, OSR gamers don't care. OSR gamers, like, I'm not saying they tried to present it as OSR gamers are right-wingers. They're not. Yeah, some of them are, of course. There's quite a few conservatives who like the OSR, in part because, you know, there's something kind of weird conservative, like this radical, innovative conservatism, the same innovative conservatism you see in the Trump movement and in alternate media and YouTube and stuff like that, that there aren't people that just want to stick to tradition, but they want to do things traditionally, right? And the fact that all games in the OSR movement are based ultimately on the original RPG is a kind of a traditionalist thing, right? So there are people there, of course, who are that way, right? Putting in a bit of olive oil. Olive oil is not typical to this, but I find it, I try to mix up olive oil and sesame oil there. But there's a ton of people who, you know, vote Democrat. There's a ton of people who are completely apolitical. Some hot sauce. And and these people really just care about the game. But the OSR tries to present it as, the anti-OSR movement tries to present it as the OSR is a den of vipers, right? Of right-wing fanatics, ethnic supremacists, or I don't know what. And it's because, they exclude women. No, nobody's ever excluded a woman from the OSR. I've never seen a woman being excluded from the OSR. People of color, no, sorry. You know, there was this Latino guy who I was just talking to on Twitter, was like, I'm making a Latinx OSR game and nobody can stop me or something like that, right? And I'm like, wait, what? You know, like, first of all, Latinx is not a thing, right? That's if anything, that's a gringo Yankee imperialista takeover. It's a bourgeoisie colonialist assault on the Spanish language, right? So you're just being a tool of upper class white people by using that word. Second, what the hell is a Latino OSR game? I mean, I'm Latino. I made Dark Albion. Does that make Dark Albion a Latino game? I mean, it's set in England in the 15th century. So I'm, you know, like a lot of Latinos play it. It was written in a South American country, but what's Latino about it, right? Or is it like the thematic is Latino? Because I don't know. I don't see it. Like, I don't understand. Is it, if you did a game about Incas, does that mean that's a Latino game? Like, first of all, the Incas aren't really Latinos, right? And second, like, what are you trying to argue there, dude? Right? Like, are you saying that then, the Spears of the Dawn is an African OSR game, like for Africans and not for non-African people, even though a white guy made it? You're like, don't be stupid, right? But he could make it, and if it sells, if it's popular, you know, people like it. He might get mad that it sells because there'll probably be a lot of white people buying it, but that's how it is, right? And so these guys now, when the honorable OSR failed, they said, well, we're just going to completely rebrand, right? And the rebranding that they have come up with, and that's been trending on Twitter for the last day or two, is called Sworddream, right? Like, first of all, holy crap. Not only can the left not meme, they can't brand, right? You don't make a brand that has two different, this is another hot sauce, that has two words combined with a double D in the middle, right? Sworddream or what, like, what are you doing? Second, like, what does that mean, right? And when they asked this guy, what is this guy that that looks exactly like the guy who threw a milkshake at the Brexit guy. And I'm sorry, I can't help myself. This is all just so funny. Right? He said, "Oh, it's a dream about a sword and the dreams of our adventures and the things that we will create." Right? Like, what? Are you familiar? I mean, do you OSR at all, bitch? Like, what are you talking about? Oh, so either you're gonna kill me or cure me. Oh my god. It is so funny. All right. In lieu of other meats, I'm adding some bondiola. No, this isn't actually bondiola. This is capocuelo, which is a spicy sort of relative of the bondiola. All right. So he writes this stuff, and of course the anti-OSR crowd goes nuts about it, right? They're like, oh yeah, everybody, and they're trying to like push it. They're super promoting it, saying the OSR is over. From now on, if you post OSR stuff, you're a fascist, right? You're part of the evil Trump movement or something. You've got to, from now on, you only have to post Sworddream, right? But hang on, hold the phone. Then the question starts out when someone starts saying, "Oh, that's Sworddream's guy." It just said, "No, not you, because you have Venture Satanis on your friends list, and therefore you can't possibly be part of our movement. You're out," right? So like, yeah, okay, you're expecting that kind of gatekeeping, right? But like, that happened in like less than 24 hours. Oh, these cats are desperate for you're not gonna like this. Do you like this? It might be too spicy for you. And you, Big Chungus, do you think you want this? It's all spicy. Yeah, you don't want this. All right. You ate it though. Hey, good for you. This cat will eat anything. All right. So like, within less than 24 hours, they're already talking about who they're excluding, right? And then you get this person that comes on there and is like, "Look, I'm all in favor of getting rid of the white supremacist elements from the OSR. You know, these evil people that believe in white supremacist things like voting for Trump and democracy and not censoring people, you know, all those things that white supremacists believe in. But Sworddream sounds to me very problematic, right? Because I think it excludes women because it has a sword in it. You know, like the objection, the feminist objection became sword, right? Because of course, a sword is like a penis, right? So like, you know, if a sword is like a penis, obviously that means everybody who's in the Sworddream movement is a rapist, obviously, right? Welcome to 2019. It's just unbelievable. And this all happened like within a 17-hour stretch of when the hashtag was invented. Right? So the rest of us are over here in the OSR. We're just going to keep making our games. Not giving a shit about politics. We're just going to keep doing our amazing stuff, our amazing products. And these idiots are over there already going into like internecine wars with each other about who's not woke enough. You know, like in seconds they're tearing each other apart because there's always some way that you're not pure enough, right? Like they're like, no, Sworddream isn't going to be about purity tests. 2 seconds later, your name sounds like a penis, so you're a rapist. It's like, what? What is wrong with you people? Oh my God. All right, we're getting into the end game of my soup production. As you can see, everything is starting to disappear. There's some rice vinegar. Gotta put that in. So yeah, it's just so funny. These guys, they proved immediately what their whole movement was going to be about. And that's the problem, right? They don't really want to be designers. They don't really care about the OSR. In fact, like their whole thing is explicitly going to be, it's going to be just like the OSR, except you don't have to design based on D&D because that's repressive, right? So basically it's nothing like the OSR, right? Like the whole point of the OSR, it's like it's saying, you know, if you had a movement that said, you know, we're going to make all of this interesting composition and it's all going to be with guitars, and then someone else says, well, we're going to make one just like that, except that you don't have to use guitars anymore. Well, then that's not the same, right? It's not the same thing. It's a completely different thing, right? And the success of the OSR is, again, I'm reminding you, it is based on the fact that it has those lines you have to design within, right? If it wasn't for that, people wouldn't have to be as innovative, right? You wouldn't have to think of as cleverly. Because if you just do whatever you want, then you don't have that same framework that demands inside-the-box innovation, which is actually much more interesting, the results that you get from that, than outside-the-box innovation, okay? So yeah, all right, next item here is a green onion. Now this is the thing, right? Like they're just going to be going on and on with this sort of nonsense. They're going to constantly be trying to stop the OSR, but they'll never be able to, right? Because the people in the OSR just don't care what they have to say, and this is what drives the SJWs crazy, right? The biggest thing that they can't stand, first of all, is being mocked, which is one of the reasons I'm rushing to make this video, and second is the fact that nobody is recognizing their authority, right? They want to have moral authority over the hobby. That's why they're creating this Sworddream thing. It's just another way of creating a community, right? Like they made the D&D community, and therefore if you redefine something instead of as a hobby or as a design movement or what have you, you redefine it as a community. That means there's community leaders, and there's community values, and within that means you can exclude people that don't fit those values, and therefore you have to have special people, them, the deciders, right, who will get to decide who is or is not fulfilling those community guidelines, right, those community values. Now we're just putting in some basic ramen noodles, and that's their whole goal, right? They want that power, the power to control who gets or doesn't get to speak. And they're never, ever going to have that power in the OSR. I'm sorry, guys. You could go have your little Sworddream, right? It sounds very exciting for you, right? It's probably the most excitement you're likely to have in a night if you have one of those sword dreams, right? If you're a woman, it might be a bit disturbing to have a sword dream, apparently, but that's all you get. You get yourselves over there because nobody else is going to pay attention to you. Like they're more interested in cool supplements, right? And cool settings, in interesting design, not in hearing you guys talk about how awful we are for only caring about cool settings, cool supplements, and interesting designs, which is all we care about. The OSR isn't trying to, re-elect Donald Trump or something like that. I'm kind of trying to do that. I'd like that, but the OSR isn't doing that. And most people in the USR don't care about, that sort of thing one way or the other. Sesame oil. And you're just going to be stuck there all by yourselves with your little sword dreams. You can play with your sword as much as you like, soy boy. You're not going to get to where you want to go. You're never going to win. And I guess that's basically it for today. I just have two more things to add, actually. I've got to put in some, I'm going to crack an egg in there. I can't make those beautiful, perfect, just right soft-boiled eggs. Too much work. And then some basil. If you like this video, please share it. Let everyone know about this poor fat boy's soy dream, right? Sworddream, sorry. Let him know about it. And, share it because it's just so hilarious. And please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Hit the notification button. Having trouble cracking this egg. There we go. And if you want to support my work, if you want to check out some OSR stuff, right, take a look. I have my products like Dark Albion, Lion and Dragon, Arrows of Indra, those are all OSR. The Cults of Chaos sourcebook. But you can also check out my RPG Pundit Presents PDF series, which is one new PDF supplement every week, all OSR, all of it. We're now at number 80, and I think it's number 80. And number 80 is 100 really minor magical items. So it's a list of 100 really small, not small in size, but in terms of power, right? Really simple magic items with kind of very minor magical effects. None of which are stuff that you should probably like. I don't think you're going to have seen almost any of these before anywhere else, right? Maybe a couple that are kind of based on folklore, but it's all really creative stuff, and it's stuff that has very, very minor effects. So you can use them as like smaller magic items to introduce to your party. And then there's also kind of this thing that I know because I've used some of these items before. Creative players rather, are going to find clever ways to make these items punch above their weight. And that's also a really fun thing to watch. So I'm very, very proud of that particular issue. So if that calls out to you, pick it up. And if not, check out the rest of the Pundit series, right? I have a Patreon. I have a PayPal button on my blog. You can send me money if you like. I'd always welcome money. And the more money I get for these video series, the more often I'm going to be making videos. Not always while I'm cooking, mind you. However, if you want to help me out and get something on your part, check out the RPG Pundit Presents series. You'll probably find a bunch of stuff there that will be really useful. It's compatible basically with any version of the OSR D&D rules, right? So like you can use them. It's just a lot of this is system neutral. A lot of the stuff I do, either directly you can use them or with very little modification. All right, that's it. That was the basil. So the last step. My soup is ready. So check all that out. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to share the video. If you want to help me out, purchase some PDFs or purchase some of my books. But sharing the video is a great way to help me out too. We're building up our subscribers. We're past 1,100 now. Getting on the way to 12 and getting on the way to 2,000 and so on and so forth. And the more subscribers I have, the more you piss off the Sworddream people. So that's, it's a win-win for everyone, really. Be sure to check out next Sunday, a week from now, if I'm not mistaken, we will finally be having our long-delayed episode of Inappropriate Characters with two other people that the Sworddream people hate, Grim Jim and Venger Satanis. I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about. You know, they've been going after Grim Jim like crazy this week for stuff I don't entirely understand, but I'm sure he'll let us know. And this Sworddream stuff, it's going to be fun. It's going to be great fun. So be sure to check that out. Inappropriate Characters, our other channel, I should say. It's not mine. And yeah, thank you for listening. I'm not currently smoking anything because I was cooking while I did this. So this is actually the second video in a row where I haven't been currently smoking a damn thing. I've got to change that, I think. See you next time.